Hey Thomas, how are you?
Jonathan, I'm doing fantastic. All right, so here we are on Friday morning, round five. Trump, Harris, logic versus emotions, and we're just coming off the presidential debate from ABC TV just a little over two nights ago. All right,
Yep.
so let's discuss that. Was it really one on one, or was it three on one? That debate. It looks like the moderators were just totally in Kamala's corner.
Yeah.
And since I'm glad we're doing it today versus, after the debate was done, because there's a lot of truth now starting to filter out. All right.
Yep.
So, off the bat, Kamala actually came out to the middle of the stage to shake Trump's hand. Trump just goes behind his podium and avoids a very bad mistake, in my opinion,
Yep.
especially being a businessman. You set the tone with the handshake, and that's what you do. He didn't do that, which I think that was very poorly of him. And also, just to fast forward, as soon as the debate was over, he left the stage. He should have shook her hand and then just walked off, in a very gentlemanly way. That's what he should have done. But that's the two parts he did very poorly on. Your thoughts?
I mean, right off, I mean, even if you're trying not to look at it, it's the first thing you're seeing. So it's a very bad way to start it off, and it's a very bad way to end it off. Kamala came out there and did, you know, did what you should was supposed to do. It looked good, and she
Mm-hmm.
went further in to shake his hand, right? Like she
Correct.
really walked across the stage, went like towards his podium, and
Mm-hmm.
really made the effort. So that looked really good on her part, I'll tell you. And as much
100%.
as she was prepped, and Trump should know the way he should be doing things, and it showed class on her side, and the opposite for him, which it's I guess not surprising to many people listening that's how he does things, because that's why a lot of people don't like him. He doesn't do the
Yes.
presidential type of things.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree. And, now we're finding out, this three on one debate. If you want to pull up that first screen, this is from the New York Post right after the debate, literally right after. Trump rattled as well prepared Harris gets help from ABC debate moderators, quote unquote, three on one. Uh, and it definitely was that way. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So, if you go to the second screen that we have, ABC's David Murr spent the night fact checking Trump, but didn't fact check, Harris. Why? Why didn't that happen? A little bit of your feedback on that, Jonathan.
Right. So here's my thoughts. You're going on ABC, right? If
Mhm.
you're Trump, if you're Team Trump, you know what's about to happen. You can't tell me that you thought it was really going to be a fair debate, right? So
Mhm.
as unfair as it may have been, Trump should have been aware of this, right? The team should have
Mhm.
been aware of this. They should have been ready for this. You can't go after Trump's success that he has as president, so they're going to go after Trump's personal pieces, and that's exactly
Mhm.
what they did. They went after all the little things that filing bankruptcies, and the convictions and the harassment suits. They're going after his personal character, which is exactly what they should have done. And honestly, at the end of the day, Kamala came out ahead if you didn't really dig deeper into what happened in the debate. Yeah, like
Mhm.
I talked to a lot of people, right? And people that are just watching don't really know what's going on in politics, don't really pay attention. You look at
Mhm.
it from the front, and that's it. And it looks like Kamala did a great job, and Trump failed and at what he was trying to get across. So it's not fair that they three against one. They
Mhm.
challenge, the moderators challenged him on a lot of different things. Like it was more like a 2-on-1, and Kamala was just on the side. So uh, that's let's say it's not fair, but let's say at the end of the day you're running for president, so you should be faced with challenging questions. However, those questions should have been, Kamala should have had questions like that as well, like why are there all these illegals coming in? Why do you support this? Why did you support that? And a lot of the fact checking that they did on Trump, they didn't do on Kamala's side, and it was actually not even true. Like there was
Mhm.
one figure that they were talking about that crime is actually down in America. Now, to all the Americans out there, do you really believe that? It's not true. They pulled data that they wanted to pull, and they left out like the biggest crime states in the country. So
Mhm.
it just makes Americans feel like they're treating us like idiots, because there's not one person that you can talk to that says yes. my neighborhood is safer now than it was 4 years ago, because it's a lie.
Mhm.
Every
Mhm.
state has their issues. There are illegal gangs in certain condos, apartment buildings. There are all these crazy things happening across the country. So, hands down, it wasn't a fair debate. How
Mhm.
could you expect it to be? Trump had nothing to gain
Mhm.
in this fiasco.
You know, it was interesting, when Trump brought up the Springfield, Ohio, with the Haitians, there were 20,000 Haitians in a town that has a population of 58,000 people. So they brought in, 20,000 immigrants. That is more than 33% of the population of the current town. It's way overcrowded. And then, having actually, cats and dogs and ducks and geese going missing from the ponds and people's personal pets. I actually bit my teeth when he said that. However, I knew about it because I read about it a couple of days prior. All right. So, but the funny thing is, David Muro actually knocked that down. Said we spoke to the city manager in Springfield. They have no reports of that. But the funny thing is, at 7 o'clock on ABCNews.com, they actually released an article in regards to that actually happening. And so it was from David Muir's own network. He just wasn't aware of it. So, and now over the last couple of days, you're starting to see more. The Daily Mail actually had where a woman was arrested and she had the cat fur still on her lips from eating the cat. I mean, it's sick. I was kidding around with people in the gym, hey, what's the favorite game that cats and dogs like to play with Haitians? Hide and seek. That's what it comes down to. But
Yeah.
these people, this is their culture. Okay, we always kid around like, hey, make sure your cats don't go near the Chinese restaurant. Because they do that. I mean, I knew a guy. He told me that personally, and he was actually a Chinese guy. So it's kind of like scary. But here in America, we don't eat cats and dogs, but other cultures do. So I mean, we've just been invaded with all these illegal immigrants, and that's what it's come down to. Um,
Think
do you have any thoughts on that, Jonathan?
Right. So the whole point of that whole piece that he brought up was that we're having swarms of illegal immigrants being pushed into certain territories, certain towns, and they're taking over the towns. It's not like you have, 5,000 amazing people from a certain country that came in and they flourished and they got jobs and they really like compounded everyone's lives. It's the exact opposite. So
Mm-hmm.
the point that he was trying to get across didn't get across. It just kind of fluttered with the point of cats and dogs, which
Exactly.
again,
Exactly.
if you really pay attention, and I have not actually seen it myself in the town, right? I'm not, but
Yeah.
if you are on Twitter or you're on Instagram, you'll see. I mean, I think I saw a video of a guy holding like three dead geese, and another
Yes.
one that I think they were like rotisserie a cat. And, no,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was like a little dog that someone was cooking on their like stove in their house. So, or in some house, I don't know where it was.
Yeah.
The point is that who knows all the facts, but the fact is that that guy went out of his way to try and make Trump look like a liar, and that's crazy because
Yes.
that's not your
Totally.
that's not he doesn't know what's going on. Like you said, his own news network put something out at 7 o'clock. So
Yeah.
um, it's
That
just
is true.
it's the problem here is that no one really cares about the facts. It's about who talks louder, right? And who
Mhm.
wants to get what a point across. I think
Yeah.
that these debates should be like in segments, right? They should say everything has to be factual. No one really answered questions, which us Americans should be really upset about. No one
Mhm.
really told us about uh, anything. I mean, we looked a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, we looked at the policies for what's on Trump's website versus what's on Kamala's website.
Correct.
I mean, how can people go out there and say that we know exactly what Kamala is going to be doing, what she's looking for, and yet
Hmm.
they're going to be bashing Trump on the fact that he didn't have an actual plan on what he was going to do about about the healthcare. He said we're looking into. We don't know, right? I mean, they really bashed him for not having a real plan, right? He doesn't know yet. He wants something better. Um, but Kamala, I mean, I still don't know what Kamala wants to do. So
Yeah, well, Kamala doesn't have any plans. She has nothing, nothing on the economy. And in regards to the debate, there was only one question asked about the economy, which the economy, immigration, and foreign affairs are the top three subjects right now. Okay, that's what is at the doorstep here for us Americans, and we actually have to look at things which are going to be fruitful for the American people in this country. All right, and
I just can't
we know.
take.
Here's the thing: we know what Trump's going to bring to the table. And
Yeah,
Patrick Bet David after he had an after show after the debate, and he brought up a very good analogy. He goes, "Here I have two people that have two resumes. They've worked for Goldman Sachs for 4 years each. Now they want to go work for J.P. Morgan, but J.P. Morgan's just going to hire one. I have these two resumes in front of me. I see what this one person did for 4 straight years, and the results they had." Then I look at this other person, and they haven't been productive at all. They didn't even show up for the job they were given, as far as being in charge of the border and all that stuff. And you know what? That is a great analogy. Who you going to hire? But here's the thing: that's logical. That's being logical. And unfortunately, a lot of Americans aren't going to be logical because they're working on emotions. All right. So I want to see what's going to be best for our nation. And Kamala Harris was totally dumbfounded when Trump nailed it the other night in the debate, going, listen, you know what? You have the power, the president, Sleepy Joe, go wake him up at the White House and sign an executive order to stop things coming through the border now. And you know what? She just sat there with a thumbs up the ass going, holy shit, he's absolutely right. But I can't do that because that's against our narrative, because we want to have open borders and bring as many illegal aliens into this country as possible, because that's their floor plan. And that's what's happening. But I mean, when
yeah.
Trump had a lot of good moments the other night, there's no doubt about it. It's just like I will critique, be critical of how he started it and ended the debate, just not shaking hands, walking off. And also the Springfield, Ohio comment was a little bit, he had to follow through with it, which he didn't. So your further thoughts,
Yeah, I
Jonathan?
mean, there's so much content that he could have talked about. That's where he failed, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he gave everybody the opportunity to pull apart all this other nonsense, the cat stuff. I mean, listen, maybe it's probably true because I see it on Twitter, I see it on Instagram, but that shouldn't take the focus of the country, right? And that's the
Mm-hmm.
point. The focus is the economy is not good. There are illegal immigrants all over the place. People are losing their jobs. People aren't making enough money. They're working. So it's the economy. It's the whole system. He had so much to go after, and he delivered so short because the stupid stuff
Yeah.
that he may have said or the unpresidential things and way he acted outshine all the really important parts that he had. And
Yeah,
Kamala
he
is an
got you know
expert.
what it is. He got rattled. He
Yeah,
got rattled, and he took the bait. Personally, listen, I got a good sense of humor. I turn things around in a sarcastic way, but a humorous way.
yeah,
And now to go to the one that you pulled up with Dr. Phil, he had a whole show as well too afterwards, and they had experts about the body language, and they can see where it was clearly a bias against Trump in their faces. One said moderators David Moore and Lindsey Davis. And it's 100% true. Okay. Now, also, it's come out, if you can pull up the next one, with Mark Penn, who has been an ally of President Clinton from 95 to 2008. And now he's a big pollster, money raiser. He actually said ABC must probe whether the debate was rigged because supposedly Kamala and an ABC News employee is actually signing an affidavit stating she was given the questions before the debate. All right. So basically, Mark Penn, a pollster and senior advisor for the Clintons from 95 to 2008, and the co chair of the Harvard Capps and Harris poll, told John Solomon podcast Thursday that suspicion is really quite high, and a review of internal texts and emails should be done by an independent party to find out whether there was an effort to rig the debate's outcome. Now, with everything that we were just critical of, this brings it full circle where the fix is in. Okay, we talked about the 2020 election, the mail-in ballots, all right, and everybody's like, oh, but the proofs come out, unfortunately, years later, all right? And, as Trump said, the ABC moderators wanted to nail Trump, saying, hey, listen, he had 60 cases that were, dismissed. Well, judges didn't want to look at it because they didn't want to disrupt the American, way of life. Okay, and that's what it came down to. But in this case, the fix was in for the debate. Now, is the fix in for the election? Way I'm looking at things, um, I think Trump's got to win by a massive landslide. Reason being to overshadow the cheating. That's what it comes down to. We don't have election day in this country. We have election season, and that has to stop. Election day needs to be election day, as we spoke about in the past a few times, Jonathan. Your thoughts on this part of the debate possibly being rigged?
I mean, there has to be a time where you can actually have a legit debate where people. I feel like the debate that Trump and Biden had together was more neutral, right? I mean, it was really a better debate. I mean, Biden didn't do good, but at the same token, it was a better debate. Here, they were saying weird things, like you said, that she was given the questions before, or she was wearing earrings that were,
A
giving her what to
microphone?
say.
Yeah. By
Uh,
the way, those were Nova earrings. Okay. Funny thing is, that came out to me. Someone had texted it to me, probably about 40 minutes into the debate, and it's funny the next day how things started coming out, and even further into yesterday. But go ahead, Jonathan. I'm sorry.
um, just all the little pieces. They said, I don't know. Again, this part I didn't look up, but I'll say it. They said that I don't even know her name. The woman moderator was
Oh, Lindsay.
that she was in college with her, or so I don't know if that's true, but there's
Okay.
a lot of things that are unfolding. Uh, us Americans, we should want a neutral debate where everyone is given fair questions, and more
Hmm.
importantly, they should be answered because Kamala is like an expert, and Trump is too, in not answering questions. She had a direct. Her first question was like, "Do you believe the economy that you and Biden have set is the doing great?" And then all she talked about was her childhood, how she was brought up, and all
Yeah.
the
Middle
pieces that
class family. Yeah.
did not answer the question, and they didn't harp her on answering the question, which they just went to Trump. So if I was Trump, the first thing I would have said is, Kamala, answer the question. Do you think the economy that you and Biden, created is good? And then
Hmm.
all Trump had to do was reflect on the last 3.5 years, and that's how you get across. There's no audience. You don't need to make the audience cheer. The audience is at home. You got millions of people watching. They all know the truth. We don't have to
Yeah.
pretend like they do. Talk about, hey guys, how's your bank accounts? How the groceries? Uh, you know, it just
Your
none of it makes
electrical
sense.
bills, energy bills. Yeah. 100%.
But
Auto insurance.
it really doesn't. It really doesn't add up. We need. I mean, Trump knows that this debate reminds me of when he talked to Savannah Guthrie right before the last election, and
Okay.
it all if you watched it, it was 4 years ago. All it was is her going after him with question over question. It was they didn't really want to hear anything that he had to say. It was just trying to find him on a bad side of something, and that's what
Hmm.
these debates are now for him. There's no positive way for him to come out of these debates. So in my
Hmm.
eyes, Trump doesn't want to do another debate, I guess, because it's not going to benefit him. And I think after a few days have gone by, people from the team Kamala are now saying that, hey, this wasn't enough because you didn't answer questions. We still don't know what your policies are. People still
Hmm.
don't know what you're looking to do. You say you're for fracking, but we have you on video saying that you're not.
Yeah.
I saw another video that she was bragging that she um, was the first, or maybe the one of the first states in California to use taxpayer dollars to pay for transgender surgeries.
Yes.
So there are, a lot of pieces out there that isn't for the popular part of America, but so they need to know where she stands, and people don't know that yet. And that's,
No,
you know,
it comes down. What I found interesting, Dr. Phil actually had a audience watching the debate, and he was asking, anybody out there what they thought. And one woman said, "Listen, I was really, here, and I was ready for Harris to come out of the gates because I want to vote for her." And she says, she's not talking about what her plan is. Give me the details, because if you're not going to give me the details, I'm going to assume you're just going to carry on what Joe Biden did, and I can't afford that anymore. I lived a better life, under Trump for 4 years. I got to vote for him. She has no plan, like you've been saying, Jonathan. It's 100% true, and other people are noticing that. Then CBS News, they had a table discussion with 6 people. These people are mostly in their like mid 20s to like late 30s. And you could see they wanted, Harris because they're Biden supporters, but they actually said, to the CBS reporter, how can I vote for her? She's not giving us a plan. Everything's gone up. The groceries have gone up over this last 3.5 years. Energy, our car insurance is going up. Things that you've actually pointed out very out loud. But at least, and this is coming from people in Pennsylvania with CBS News. So that is a swing state. That's what it comes down to. And, that leads us into our fifth video I want you to pop up to. All right. Now, turn up the volume on this in a second. This happened. Hold on. This happened in Shanksville on 9/11, the day after the debate. Can you actually go back and start this over, Jonathan?
Let me just do this.
Refresh it. Here's Biden and Harris. Go ahead. Turn up the volume. Nobody's even applauded. They're just looking at them, totally looking at them. And that's what it's coming down to. All right. And they entered first. They came in. Now here's Trump. Moments later, the place erupts. Everybody's cheering. Now, what's that tell you on a logical point versus emotional point? This is in Pennsylvania, in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
I mean, listen,
you know what?
It's a big
day
thing.
After the debate.
It's a big thing, right? I mean,
it's huge. It's huge.
It's showing people where, I mean, the part that doesn't make any sense to me is that they're pretending like Trump has been in office the last 4 years. They're pretending like Trump, at the same time, they're pretending like Trump doesn't know what he's going to do. He's done this before, but he doesn't know what he's going to do. And they just keep going after the fact that Kamala and Biden have been in power the last 3.5 years. And people, I even saw it on Twitter. Someone was like, a big influencer was like, okay, Trump, what are you going to do to lower grocery prices? Right. But shouldn't the question be like, Trump/Kamala, what are you going to do to lower grocery prices? It's not. They're just only aiming for negative comments on Trump's side. So I think the vast majority of the people that are common sense people or logically thinking, right? They look at it and they say that, I mean, who cares who Trump is? Who cares what Kamala is? Look at the last 3.5 years compared to the prior 3 years. Don't talk about, well, Joe Biden brought in, X amount of millions of jobs. Those are jobs that were bounced back from the COVID-19 pandemic where everyone was laid off, terminated because of everything was closed down. So they just use these little pieces that are like a fraction of the sentence, but they forget all the other details. So we Americans have to be smarter. And listen, if she comes out and says, great policies, then good, go for it. But I haven't seen it. Trump just unveiled another tax plan that he's not going to be taxing you on your overtime.
Yeah, huge. He said that. You know what? He said that yesterday at the Arizona rally. No tax on your overtime. Okay. Let's see if Kamala's going to steal that like she stole no tax on tips.
Right. I mean, we just need to continue to keep track of what's going on.
Yeah.
Do the research. Stop looking at the front only. Look at everything that everyone's saying, and you'll be better for it.
Oh, 100%. Listen, if I'm Trump, you know what I would do? Listen, my hardcore fans, they're going to vote for me no matter what. I would actually go to right into the hardcore of swing states, into the cities of Milwaukee, Detroit, Green Bay, okay? I would go to these places and I'd go to the supermarkets and speak to the people. It's almost what Reagan did when he went to the Bronx in 1980, okay? And where he actually went into the ghettos of the Bronx to speak to the people. If I'm Trump, I go to the supermarkets where these people gather. I don't need let me break bread with these people. Let me do that. I go to the churches on the Sunday, okay? And say, hey, listen, what do you want? This is what I did over those, 4 years I was president. This is what's happened for the last 3.5 years. He needs to take a different direction over the next 50 days before the election. Go into those areas, go into the hardcore Democratic areas where they're voting for, Harris now, and actually convert those people. Show that you care and do that, because you have the results. You've proven yourself. Harris hasn't. She's a failure. She's a Marxist, and that's the bottom line. Listen, hopefully we're giving you a lot of good information today. Hopefully you liked our views. Thumbs up. Appreciate it. Like it. You guys have a great day and share with others. Take care.
Yeah.